Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for coming to hear about Pursuit's vanadium projects in Scandinavia. The vision we have for Pursuit is to deliver to Europe the vanadium supply that it's going to need to power its renewable energy revolution. And the strategy to deliver on that company vision is we want to build a tier one vanadium production business based upon several mines feeding into a centralised processing plant producing vanadium pentoxide flake, which is the yellow material you can see on the slide there. So it's a big vision, it's an aggressive strategy, but we believe we have the resources and the projects to deliver on that over the course of the next few years. Now, why is Europe going to need additional vanadium? And it's because of these things, vanadium redox flow batteries. And these batteries are suitable for large-scale energy storage. Importantly, they're not flammable, unlike lithium-ion batteries. They don't spontaneously combust. They have excellent rechargeability. They maintain over 90% of their storage for over a 20-year period, so they have a much longer life cycle than lithium-ion batteries. Traditionally, they've been used for large-scale energy storage, but you can now buy them suitable to attach to solar if you have solar on your roof, or if you're generating your own wind power, you can buy one that's suitable for a domestic application. So now these type of batteries, the domestic market is opening up as well as the large-scale industrial markets as well. And because of their long lifetime, they are cost competitive with lithium-ion batteries now on a per-cycle basis. And what you're seeing is increasing deployment of these type of batteries attached to wind farms, solar farms, and now houses for energy storage. And that's why Europe's going to be needing a lot more vanadium to meet the demand in energy storage. And you can see that predicted on the slide here. So we're talking over a 10-year period. We're looking at the amount of global energy storage deployment increasing by a factor of 10 over 10 years. So it's a substantial increase that's predicted, and the world's just going to need a lot more vanadium to be able to make these batteries to meet the demand for energy storage. So currently the vanadium redox flow battery market is about $250 million a year, but over the course of the next 4 or 5 years that's expected to grow to $1 billion industry. And over the next 4 years or so, the amount of vanadium that goes into these type of batteries is growing at a compound annual growth rate of about 60%. So it's starting off as a moderate component of vanadium consumption, but it's rapidly increasing. And these type of predictions are probably on the conservative side because they were put out before Germany came out and said that they're going to be phasing out coal-fired power generation by 2038. So because of that, there's going to need to be a massive increase in renewable energy, but also to make that work, a substantial increase in energy storage. And vanadium redox flow batteries are going to be a very important part of that energy storage mix in Europe. Now, Europe recognises its need for vanadium. It's currently listed as a critical metal, and that there are no sources of vanadium inside Europe at the moment. It's all imported. 60% of it comes from Russia. Now, Finland used to produce up to 10% of the world's vanadium up until the mid-1980s, and we certainly want to be a part of a renewed vanadium industry in Finland, but also in neighbouring Sweden as well. So to participate in this revolution that's happening at the moment, about 12 months ago we built this portfolio of projects, and we were able to do this by just going and pegging open ground. In Scandinavia you can get access to very high quality data sets, so we'll be able to see from work that was done in the 1970s and 1980s and into the early 1990s where vanadium mineralisation and deposits had been defined, and then we just basically went and applied for tenements, picked up the tenements, so we hold 100% of them. The access to historical data has been really important to us. It's enabled us to progress these projects to key decision points very rapidly. And one of the things that makes these projects stand out on a global basis against our peers is they produce a very high-grade vanadium magnetite concentrate. So in the vanadium space, anything that has greater than 1.5% vanadium pentoxide is considered high grade. and a lot of our projects have over 2% vanadium pentoxide in the magnetite concentrate. And within the last couple of months, we've been able to define 2 globally significant mineral resources at Coeur in Finland and Arijoki in northern Sweden, and then complete scoping studies. So how we're going to bring these projects into production is this 2-phase project development concept. So initially from the Arijoki project in Sweden and Coeur in Finland, we're just going to produce this high-grade vanadium magnetite concentrate and look to sell that into the global market. Most probably that will be sold into China. And the advantage that gives us is we can get these projects into production with substantially lower capex than a lot of our peer companies. It decreases our time to get it into production, and it allows us to build the financial resources of the company to then go and finance the second phase and do that in an optimal manner. And importantly, we have access to very good infrastructure. So there's road, rail, cheap power, all within just several kilometres from these projects. So that is a significant advantage for us. So then the second phase of the project development is then looking to have a centralised processing plant. Could be in Sweden, it could be in Finland. And then we will bring in our high-grade magnetite concentrates into a central processing plant and then produce the vanadium pentoxide flake. And the vanadium pentoxide flake is the material that goes into the vanadium redox flow batteries. And so this is an inherently lower risk way of developing our projects because it's not a project attached to a single resource. We have multiple resources. So the capex that's going to be required for this stage of the project development is going to be amortized across several projects. And of course, we're close to European markets. And importantly, for this part of the process, it potentially involves smelting, so large power requirements, and in northern Finland and northern Sweden, power is about 10 cents a kilowatt hour, so substantially lower power costs, which leads to over or decrease in OPEX. And again, levering off the existing infrastructure in this part of the world. So looking at the projects, we'll just look at Arijoki and Coeur in a little bit more detail. So here we saw from the historical data that they had these incredible thicknesses of vanadium mineralisation, up to nearly 200 metres thick, and parts of them produce these very high-grade concentrates at over 2%. So encouraged by that, we went and did our own drill program last November, December, and then using that new data, put together a globally significant resource. 44 million tonnes contains 6 million tonnes of magnetite. The magnetite contains the vanadium, and it's averaging about 1.7% vanadium pentoxide in the magnetite concentrate. We then use that inferred resource, and we've completed a scoping study which shows that the project is financially robust. And now the board of Pursuit has made a decision to proceed directly into a definitive feasibility study, which will kick off with a major drill program in September and October. So we started work on this project August last year, and by the end of April we finished an exploration program, a drill program, put an inferred resource together and completed a scoping study. So it's progressed very quickly and very cost effectively. Now the Coeur project is in northern Finland, and here it was the same sort of approach but a little bit different. Here we were able to access up to 16 historical drill cores. So they still exist, so we were able to just put together an inferred resource by going in and reassaying the existing drill core. This was drilling that was done in the 1980s and 1990s by the Finnish government. We reassayed the core. We then went and put together an inferred resource, and this one's 116 million tonnes. It contains, again, about 6 million tonnes of magnetite. This one's very high grade, 2.3% is the grade of the magnetite concentrate. So as far as we can tell, this magnetite concentrate that comes out of Coeur is the second highest grade magnetite concentrate globally. So it really stands out as a project. Again, we've done a scoping study. The scoping study shows that the project's going to be potentially financially robust, and the next phase for us is to go and do our own drilling so we can complete our metallurgical studies on this one. So the key advantages that we have in Scandinavia of these particular type of vanadium projects, number one is access to infrastructure, excellent infrastructure and close proximity to the projects. The power costs are low, which is going to drive our OPEX down. We produce these very high grade magnetite concentrates, which makes us stand out. And from a mining perspective, we're looking at having quite low strip ratios. So to deliver on this two-phase strategy, we're going to be look to partner up with companies that can assist us with the phase one of selling the magnetite concentrate, and then the phase two of developing the downstream processing. So in summary, why should you look at Pursuit? Well, we have multiple high-grade vanadium resources. The scoping studies are positive and have just been completed. We're working in top-tier mining jurisdictions in Sweden and Finland, access to excellent infrastructure, and we have a positive outlook on the vanadium price going forwards. So we like to say we're in the right place at the right commodity at the right time. So thank you.